Now, there is an outbreak of the measles in California. The virus is among the most contagious, but in the last 20 years, it had almost disappeared here in the United States as most people vaccinate their toddlers. Now, some parents are deciding against immunizations, and in California, there are 49 cases. To give you some context, last year at this time, there were only 4. 6 News anchor Lori Tucker has much more in tonight's Caring for Our Kids. Lori?
Thank you, Kristen. You know, we all, of course, want to do what's best for our children, keeping them safe and healthy, and vaccines have protected millions of kids from potentially deadly diseases. They have saved thousands of lives, but some well-meaning parents still choose to skip early childhood vaccines, which can be a risky choice. Joining us now is Dr. Ryan Redmond, ER Director at Children's Hospital. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
So the first question, do you see vaccine preventable illnesses at Children's, and if so, which ones?
We certainly do. Now, luckily, they're rare, and so we do see a lot less than you used to see, but we still see pertussis, we still see the occasional mumps, and certainly things, you know, like varicella, chickenpox, we see still occasionally.
Mumps, chickenpox, and whooping cough is pertussis. That's amazing. Does that surprise you, or are you not surprised?
Well, part of the problem with the kind of anti-vaccine movement is that it combats not only the kids who you're choosing not to vaccinate, but also the rest of the population too, because vaccination programs also rely on something that's called herd immunity, so that if you eliminate enough of the disease in the population, then people who are susceptible because their immune system is depressed or they're too young to get those immunizations are also protected. When that vaccination rate falls, then those patients become more at risk.
All right, so that's a very important reason to immunize your child. Let's talk about some of the others. I mean, obviously you want to avoid any kind of terrible reaction, or possibly worse, to some of these diseases.
Absolutely, and that's one of the things that we always emphasize, is that part of the question about vaccine safety, and they are good questions to have, and they're the right questions to ask, and they've been looked at very thoroughly and rigorously, and right now we know that there's no credible evidence that vaccines are in any way unsafe. However, we do know there's a lot of credible evidence that they've prevented a ton of disease, a ton of disability, long-term disability, and a ton of kids dying. So they're still, when you look at the risk-benefit ratio, extremely important. And
that's the main thing as a parent. You always need to ask the doctor, what's the risk, what's the benefit, and what are the side effects? So let's talk about that a little bit to some of the vaccines out there.
Certainly. One of the things that concerns a lot of parents, including, you know, myself, who has their kids vaccinated, is certainly the local reactions and the pain. No one likes to go to the doctor and get a shot, so that's one of the things. They can certainly be kind of fussy, have a little bit of fever afterwards, but again, when you look at the longer term, bigger implications for priming their immune system, getting that healthy enough to fight off some of these infections that can be very dangerous, it's really important.
So glad we don't hear about some of those awful diseases that used to plague our children.
Absolutely.
All right, Dr. Redmond, thank you so much. And if you have a question about your child's health, just send me an email, ltucker@wate.com. And be sure to tune in every Thursday here on 6 News at 5:30. We may just use your question on the air.